God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. Love is my source, love is my power, love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, love gives me everything I need. Joy is my source, joy is my power, joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, joy gives me everything I need. Peace is my source, peace is my power, peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, peace gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. Yes, the love of God is here. Yes, and so it is.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, good afternoon. Let's try that again. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. It's good to see you. It's good to be in the house today. I am David Alexander, the senior pastor, spiritual director here. My pronouns are he and his. Welcome to Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. We're so glad you're here. We want to welcome everybody watching on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere else that we're being broadcast at any particular time and place and space. We're grateful for you joining and tuning in. We are kicking off. It is June, so happy Pride to all those who are celebrating Pride Month, rolling out throughout this month around the country. And I love it in Atlanta that we just pause just a little bit and we'll celebrate again in October. How about that? Hopefully with a little bit cooler weather. But we acknowledge anyway right here in June, Pride Month happening in most of the country and the world. And we'll be doing our own thing again in October. So we are kicking off a new series this month. It is entitled Sacred Boldness. How about that? Sacred boldness. It's not the greatness within at all, or Sundays in May, but nonetheless, it's Sacred Boldness, and there's a whole new artwork with it. Science Mind magazine, the cover of Science, there we go. Cover of Science Mind magazine says Holy Boldness, and has a very colorful cover on it. And so we were going to go with Holy Boldness, and I said, I can't do Holy Boldness it's a little bit too much like a line from Batman. I'm going to be up there, Holy Boldness, every week. I said, no, let's work on something else. So we said Sacred Boldness, but nonetheless, we're going to talk about the principle of boldness and how to express ourselves more boldly this month. If you're here for the first time, we're grateful that you are here. Just wave your hand at any point in the service or after the service and let us know who you are. Our greeters will get information to you, and we'll get you plugged into all things SLCA. Please check out our website, slca.com, and all of that. Announcements will be coming later that'll give you lots of information and all of those things. Let's look at our affirmation for today and for this month. We have a new affirmation for this Sacred Boldness series. And I'm going to see it on the screen in just a moment. I'm going to affirm that the affirmation is coming. There it is. Yeah, there it is. Yes, indeed. All right. Today, I embrace sacred boldness. Courageously, I step outside of my comfort zone, knowing that the creative power of the universe propels me into right action. I proclaim my right to love, peace, and prosperity, and proclaim my capacity to achieve it. Boldness is my ally as I step forward today. Let's take a deep breath. I'll say it again one line at a time and ask you to repeat after me, and then we'll say it a third time all together. Today, I embrace sacred boldness. Courageously, I step outside my comfort zone. Knowing that the creative power of the universe propels me into right action. I proclaim my right to love, peace, and prosperity. And proclaim my capacity to achieve it. Boldness is my ally as I step forward today. Deep breath. And now let's let it really sink in and gain power in our consciousness and our mind as we affirm it together again one more time with one voice. Today, I embrace sacred boldness. Courageously, I step outside my comfort zone, knowing that the creative power of the universe propels me into right action. I proclaim my right to love, peace, and prosperity, and proclaim my capacity to achieve it. Boldness is my ally as I step forward today. And so it is. And so we are. Let's welcome Mally Lapete for the announcements today.
Hello, everybody. All my holy rollers of faith and metaphysology. I'm Mally Lapete, and my pronouns are she and her, and I gladly serve on the Creative Arts team here at SLCA. We have so many great opportunities to connect, grow, serve, and give. So for more information about all of that and other opportunities, scan the QR code found on your monitor. Due to unforeseen circumstances, it has been necessary to temporarily delay the start of Dr. Reverend Alexander's summer book study. Summer school's not in yet. We will have information in the coming week with a new date. Ian Faulkner is looking forward to seeing you next Sunday, June 9th, there he is, during the 5 o'clock hour, as he guides us through the power of scripting. Ian wants us to know that we can create the life we desire through the power of you and your divine purpose. You deserve the world and beyond. As our community grows, we're looking for those willing to volunteer. I'm a volunteer. Please consider joining me in donating one Sunday a month and serve on one of our many SLCA teams. We're specifically looking for those to join our hospitality team. Please speak with Shannon after the service to find the perfect way you can serve. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to visiting with you after the service in the social hall for food and fellowship. And remember, you belong.
Yay, Mally. Thank you. Our musical guests this afternoon, how many of us, let me just ask, we're at the Woodruff Arts Center with Paul Gagne, Reverend Paul Gagne. So you know he's family. Welcome, please, Thomas Barnett. Thomas has been a long-time member of our community, and he's changed the lives of numbers of people through his leadership training that he provides, and he has just done miraculous work around our country, building the lives of individuals through the arts and entertainment. Please welcome, once again, Thomas Barnett.
Thank you. Thank you, Penelope. When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side. Oh, when times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. I will lay me down. When you're down and out, or when you're on the street, yeah, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. And I'll take your part. Oh, when darkness comes and the pain is all around, and like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. I will lay me down. Sail on, silver girl, just sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine, yeah. Oh, when you need a friend, I'm sailing right behind, and like a bridge over troubled water, and I will ease your mind like a bridge over troubled water, and I will ease your mind, and I will ease your mind.
Woo! Thank you, Thomas. Open your mind. Wait a minute. If you hadn't already opened your mind, come on now. Thomas, come. Yeah, he is a man of service too. For him to be here, he had such a busy day already today, and we're just honored to have you back home. Welcome home. Yeah, man. Yeah. So let's just take a deep breath and move towards prayer through song, right? Keep that smile on your face. Keep that pulse in your heart. Open your mind. Unfold your heart. Relax your senses. Feel every part. You ain't got a thing to fear. Looks like love is growing here. So take your guard and let it down. Go deeper still until you come unwound. Breathe every breath. Release your cringe. Love without waiting, without waiting. Slowly unhinge. You ain't got a thing to fear. Looks like love is growing here. So take your guard and let it down. Go deeper still until you come unwound. Unbound.
I am a creation of the Most High. I and every person in here, the sound of my voice and beyond, I was not created to cringe before some parent in the sky. I am here to live larger than I have ever lived before. I know that the aspects of God that I understand, they're all within me. They're all within each of us. And I know that the Spirit is responding to my thoughts, my feelings, my everything and my beliefs, even if I don't realize I believe something. So today, I expand my awareness. I make it my business to mind my own business. I make it my business to tend to my consciousness and the contents of it. I tell myself to notice when something in opposition to that which I desire is in my thoughts, in my dreams, whatever. And I know what to do because the God within me always guides me. I learned how to listen. And I know that still small voice is different from regular thought. And if there's something I need to do, I know I'll be guided. Even if I don't know where that guidance is coming from, it is always there. Someone speaks to me, I hear a song, a book just falls open in front of me, whatever. I am always led to a higher consciousness. The universe is conspiring for me and for every other person. And so right now, and I speak for all of us, I open up myself up to realize the thoughts that are going through my mind. I awaken to see what I have made solid through my thought, that it is not real unless I give it the brick after brick after brick to build it through myself. So I dissemble that which is put before me, which looks like a wall, and I walk into the light with my head held high, knowing that my needs are met, I am provided for, and I have more than enough. More than enough love, more than enough health, more than enough wisdom, more than enough money to share. I know my creative heart is open for expression, and I see every color in the people I meet, their creative potential, their loving nature. And so right now, I declare for each of us that we are a vessel of the Most High, that we are put here to shine. We don't have to shrink. We should stand tall. We stand tall and proclaim who we are with each passing thought, each action, each emotion. And so today I'm grateful for this center, for the people who have brought this service together, especially Reverend David, Penelope, and certainly Thomas. I just give thanks. And I know there's so much talent and intelligence in this room that is awe-inspiring. So without doubt, I release this because it is so, and so it is.
You can stop waiting for love to find you. Look inside your heart. Love's already who you are. So lift up your voice. Let it be heard. Tell me your story, tell it to me. Don't leave out a word. 'Cause I think I have been there too, and I'm a seeker just like you. You ain't got a thing to fear. Looks like love is growing here. So take your guard and let it down. Go deeper still until you come unwound. Amen. Unbound. So it is.
Lighting the flames of faith. call to service. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence which we call Spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We recognize the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We recognize the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous people, the way of the primal spirituality. We recognize the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We recognize the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We recognize the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We recognize the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We recognize the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We recognize the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We recognize the candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. As we recognize the healing candle, please put silently in the light the name of anyone you wish to experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
Thank you, Thomas.
Yes, sir. Oh, that's good. Isn't that good? You feel good? Glad you came today, yes? Yes, yes. Lovely day. Take a deep breath. Let all the beauty, warmth, joy, love of the atmosphere of our being together to sink into this moment, to this lovely day. Welcome again. I'm so glad that you're here. Once again, happy Pride Month to everybody who's celebrating. We look forward to tying that into this theme of boldness this month. We're going to look at what it means to be a bold spirit in the universe. Let me give you the tools for today. The principle of connection. We're going to look at how all things are connected and how we are connected to that energy, that source, that thing that from which we draw the power to be bold and tenacious and courageous in our lives. We're going to look at the law of correspondence, at least today and perhaps throughout the series. Law of correspondence, that's not pen pals. The law of correspondence is as above, so below. That's the corresponding nature of the invisible and the visible plane. And so we'll look at how that ties in today. And the spiritual practice of meditation, and the source from which we get this boldness from. And so as we begin today, we are going to allow ourselves throughout this series to be reminded and inspired on how to live and to love more boldly. This is a good pairing for the theme of Pride in June, right? Because it's all about this bold expression. The colors are bold and the activities and all of that. And it's all about self-expression. And so it's a natural pairing to all of that. And I want to begin by simply saying that, for each one of us, our participation in life is needed, right? You're not here just to kind of what I call wake up and do the eternal rounds. Like wake up, go to work, come home, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, come home, right? It's not just this rote merry-go-round of duties and chores. And you ever feel like that way sometimes? Like I'm just the alarm clock has gone off again, and here we go. We're just back on the merry-go-round, and you just want to get off. You just want to hit the button and say, that's what we do on vacation. We're like, I just need to get off of the wheel that I'm on, right? But we're here to understand that every day we have choice, we have volition on how we engage and how we show up, either subdued or light or in bold ways and vibrant manners. And we have permission from Spirit, from Source, from the eternal energy of the universe, to live creatively and uniquely that which is our nature and that which was assigned to us. And there is a nature that has been assigned to you that is different than the nature that has been assigned to me, right? It is your bold, authentic expression. And so we're here to wake up to that, to tune into that, to understand the signature of that, the signature of what is my song, what is my unique expression, right? To step out, to draw outside the lines, to go beyond our fears with our imagination, and then to draw from that source a bold new way of living. So that's kind of the wrap-up of what the theme really is all about this month. And today I want to talk about this source of what I'm calling sacred audacity. Because there's something about boldness that requires audacity, which is that kind of just, it is bold action in the face of, right? That which would defy it, that which would subdue it, that which would oppress it, right? Where does that come from? There's a famous quote by W.H. Murray that says this, and we had this on in each of our offices when we started the ministry that I came from in Oregon 5 years ago, and was the senior pastor of that community for 15 years and co-founder of it. We all had this on our desks and in our offices, and it was kind of the North Star for us as we launched this ministry. And it's this, you probably have heard it before. It says, until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. And the quote goes on to say, all sorts of things occur to help one that would never have otherwise occurred. A whole stream of events issues from that decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidences, meetings, and material assistance, which no one could have dreamt would come their way. I have learned to have deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets, whatever you do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Boldness. Isn't that great? Love that. And so that was our North Star as a staff and as a community. And it was about just begin this thing. Because we began, for those who don't know the story, and today's not about that story, but just as a context and why we chose this quote, we began out of a community that closed in bankruptcy. And so it was a big financial scandal, and it was a lot of drama, and so it was bold to come out of that and say, we're going to do this new thing, right? You should have seen the first Sunday we asked for money. Actually, you should have seen the next Sunday, because about half the people left, right? It was a bold, tenacious thing that we did, and that community is still thriving to this day. And so this was our North Star, to say, just begin it. Just put a marker down and just say, we're going to do this. We don't know who's coming with us. We don't know, who's going to like it or not like it. We're not concerned about that. Whether it's popular or unpopular or any of those, we're just going to begin it. And we'll figure out the rest along the way. Providence then moves to all sorts of manner of things that moved in our favor because we said this is the direction that we're going. And so boldness is that willingness, right, to take a risk, to act innovatively, with confidence, with courage, right? It's something that we tend to think of as being a characteristic, but we're going to challenge that a little bit, like a personality characteristic. Like there's people who just, they're just bold personalities, right? Have you ever said that? Well, that person, they're just a bold personality, right? We're going to kind of check in on that a little bit today. Because one of the things I like to do is whenever I'm talking about certain spiritual principles is to look them up in various sacred texts and see how they appear. And we get a lot of wisdom from the Torah, from the law, and from the what we in Christian context we call the Old Testament, and the New Testament and other sacred scriptures, and to see how these principles are spoken about. And there was an interesting pattern around boldness, and it was this idea that that boldness appears several times, particularly in the Torah, in which the prophets and other folks, and then again in the New Testament, where Paul they all pray for boldness. And boldness shows up, but it's in reaction to a prayer request. It's something. It showed the quality of boldness shows up as not as a personality characteristic, but rather as sort of a grace or a favor that comes from the divine, and that matches, that therefore must match, if you will, some pre-existing ingredients that you have to have inside of you, right? Because you're praying for, like you have a conviction, but you just need the boldness to act on it, right? But you got to have that conviction first. You have an insight, you have a wisdom, you have a something telling you something. Right? But you need, and so boldness is a prayer request. It's like give me the strength, the courage, the tenacity, the whatever, the inspiration, so that I can take what I already know and act on it and move on it, right? So that's why I said I want to challenge this idea that in the Western world, in today's society, we tend to think, oh, that person's bold, that person's bold. We reward boldness, right? And we think of it as this characteristic. But rather, I invite us to kind of step back and look at this kind of ancient way of looking at it, that it's something that comes when we request it as a pairing with what's emerging inside of us. Right? It's something that comes to aid you when you need that extra something to move a vision forward. Is that all right if we look at that way? Yeah. Right? And so it suggests again that boldness involves a relationship between the inner vision and the audacity to act upon it. That because of the way boldness shows up, we tend to see it again as this audacious thing. And so today, let's examine that a little bit, this sort of ingredient of audacity that's required. Audacity is defined as the intrepid boldness, or bold, arrogant disregard for the norms of disregard of normal restraints. Right? It's just kind of I just don't care. Right? It's like that. Right? If arrogance had a gesture, it would be that. I just don't care. Just going to do it anyway. It's that do it anyway kind of attitude that is, I think, a kind of an essential ingredient. Now, if we back up just a little bit, it's Pride Month, and it kind of fits, as I said, to talk about all of this. Back up just a little bit. What does any of this have to do with science of mind, New Thought, philosophy, this thing that we study here? And it is this, right? The basic tenet of science of mind philosophy is found in this quote from Ernest Holmes. We use it a lot, many Sundays that I've put this slide up, and we'll do it again today, that there is a power in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it, right? That's the basic, like if we don't understand anything else about what this philosophy teaches, it's that there's a power in the universe. That power is greater than I am, but I can use it. I can access it. I can resource it. I can harness it. I can channel it. I can lean upon it. I can, however you want to, work with that definition. You can use it. Ernest Holmes began his radio broadcast every day that his radio show was on. It started with this quote. It came on the air and said, there's a power, there's a force for good. The full quote in that context of the radio show was this: there's a force for good in the universe, greater than you are, and you can use it. So it's a slight variation on it, but in writing, he also said it this way, right? So either way, there's a force for good in the universe, or there's a power in the universe. That force for good, that power is greater than you are, and you can use it. That is incredibly simple, right? But it's a sacred universal law that we hold dear in New Thought. And when we learn and when we know and when we understand this principle, we can act with a kind of holy or sacred boldness, a sacred audacity to name and to declare and to articulate our good and our acceptance of truth and our acceptance of our good, as the affirmation says, to know that we have a right to love and to joy and prosperity and to all of those things, and to know that we have the capacity to fulfill those desires. And it turns out that all of that is really audacious, right? So I used to have this habit of when I was growing up in this philosophy, like from high school on, all the way through college, this was the kind of thing that I regularly did. Whenever I stumbled into a bookstore, which was often, I would go to the world religion section, again, which was often, and I'd look for these books. They were like world religion encyclopedias. And sometimes they were Western world religion encyclopedias, and sometimes they were, just defined in different ways. There were those books, world religion encyclopedias, and then there was another oftentimes collection of sort of encyclopedia description type book, reference book, that would be the Book of Cults, right? The Book of the Occult, and the description of all the cults. And so I would get them. I'd get one of one and one of the other. And I'd go and I'd find a nice little place to sit down, and I'd put them down, and I would see which one we were in. Right? Which one are we going to be in? Are we in both, or are we only in one of them? And if we're only in one of them, which one is it? And so it was this fun little game. So I'd go and look up, and I'd have to look up New Thought, religious science, unity, science of mind. Of course, they also often had New Age, and they often had us listed under New Age, incorrectly, by the way. And so it was an interesting game to see, does the editor, the writer, the people putting this together, do they lump us with New Age? Do they do this or that? And unity and the unity school of Christianity was often, more often in the World Book of Encyclopedias, which is our New Thought sister denomination, than religious science was. And religious science, if it was mentioned at all, or New Thought, if it was ever mentioned at all, more often than not, was in the other book. Congratulations. Right? But here's what was interesting. The descriptions, whether we were in one or the other or in both, were the same. And what was that description? The descriptions were always interesting. It was, so you get to it and you say, religious science was founded by Ernest Holmes, and it was unity with Fillmore's, and it would describe sometimes again it would flip, use interchangeably New Age or New Thought. They might just talk about the movement a little bit. But always there would be this line in there that would say, this group of people believe that they are one with God. That's a full sentence, right? And I would be reading it and I'd go, uh-huh. And that was basically, it would go on from there, and it would basically talk about how bad and how dangerous that is. Right? In the World Book of Encyclopedias, Encyclopedia of Religions, it would just kind of state that, and it wouldn't give it a positive or negative tone. But in the Book of Cults, it was like, and this is why that's bad and wrong. But it was the same description. So what was quote unquote bad or dangerous about us was that we had the audacity to claim our oneness with the divine. That we had the audacity or the boldness, that the expectation was that, you can be religious. And here are all of these religions that can pray this way and pray that way, and they eat this food and believe in this saint or this deity or this whatever, right? That's all completely acceptable. But you got to humble yourself and not think too much of yourself, and don't think that power is too connected to who or what you are, or that it's a power that you can use. Oh no, that'll get you immediately sucked right out of this book and put into this one over here, right? And so I found that fascinating. So I'd write down these descriptions. I'd never buy the book. I just had a little journal and I'd write down the descriptions. I was a weird kid. But what does that say about who we are today? How, and what is that, what I've always walked away with was either book, it was like, well, they're right. It was a very good description of who we are. We do have that claim that we are one with God, that we are one with the divine, that we are one with this infinite source. Our prayers start that way. This is what I know. I know that there's one power, one presence, one life, and that is all the power, presence, and life that there is in the universe. There is no other deity, and because it is the only thing that there is, I am one with that divine presence. The leverage point, the lifting leverage point in the power of our prayer is right there in that kind of sentence. That because I know that there's only this one thing, I know that therefore I must be, because there's nothing else. I must be one with this divine power. I must be one with this great presence. I must be one with this infinite energy of love and prosperity and health and wholeness and beauty that is expressing in, through, and around us everything that I see. How dare you? And the capacity of our prayer to heal and shift and transform our consciousness, not the outside world, but our consciousness from which the outside world is formed, lies in that boldness, in that audacity to claim that connection. And so how do we go about cultivating that kind of confidence? How do we go about creating the space, interior space within us. Because I would imagine, I'm going to take a guess here, that even because I know my own experience, who was born and raised essentially in this teaching, have known this only this teaching as sort of my spiritual lens on the world my whole life, that perhaps not all of you have that level of boldness and audacity worked out in your consciousness, right? That sometimes it's a stretch for you, am I right? You know, it's attractive to you. You're like, yeah, that's why I'm here. I like that. But as I said last week in our series on greatness, if you were to be convicted, right, or if you were to be put on trial as a religious scientist or a New Thought person or however you want to define it, would there be enough evidence to convict you, right? Would there be that substance and demonstration in your life to say, yeah, not only am I attracted to this, I like it intellectually, it stimulates me, and I like the fact that we don't talk about the devil and, you know, all of that, and the oneness and the kumbaya, it's really wonderful, I love this place. You know, the music's great, right? But is there enough evidence to convict you that says, yeah, I'm not just attracted to this, I leverage this awareness and this wisdom in my life. And here's how it shows up in these following ways, right? And so if that perhaps is a process and a journey for you, which I'm going to gather that it is for most of us, then how do we cultivate that kind of confidence? And for today, and we'll explore this throughout this month, but for today, what we're going to say is that it begins in the quiet space of meditation, right? Which is kind of an interesting juxtaposition, right? That boldness doesn't begin in flashy, outlandish, you know, statements or ways of being. But that spiritual boldness, sacred boldness, and the quality of that sacred audacity has its origin point in the quiet stillness of meditation, of spiritual practice. It's the discipline of going, in the Buddhist community, what they say, going to the mat. Right? Going to the mat again and again and again. Regardless of what's going on, I wake up, I go to the mat. Right? Whether you physically do that or mentally in your awareness, but it's the practice of once again, I just go to the mat and I begin with, here's what I know. Or I begin with, I'm just going to contemplate that idea that I'm one with this eternal presence. And it's just like a slow, steady drip. If you can imagine it in your mind, it's not a raging river. It's not something that has to completely consume you. It's just, have you ever seen what a slow, steady drip can do? Right? What's that? It can drive you crazy. Ellen. Work with me here. If you're the rock standing in the way, yeah. Right? Have you seen that as like 100 years? You've seen the pictures of the rock, 100 years, 500 years, 1,000, a million years, and the ways in which rock can be shaped and formed and carved out by just a steady drip. So it'll drive you crazy if you're the rock. But you want to be the flow of the water. You want to be the consciousness that's making space. So there's a story in the Old Testament with the prophet Ezekiel. And this story is probably one of the most complicated parts of the Bible. It's Ezekiel's vision. This is his vision of the temple. And it kind of begins as he's taken into exile and the current temple is still there, but it's going to be destroyed. And so he begins to have this vision of what will replace it. And it's extremely vivid, it's extremely detailed. And from a sort of hermeneutical, theological context of like, well, what does all of that mean? Because it's really long. It's a hard thing to wrap our arms around. So that's why I'm going to share it with you. No, we're not going to try to do all of that, but there's just broad brushes, right? There's some very interesting things about it. And in the vision that he has this very vivid description of this new temple that they are to create after, they're out of exile, and they have, in the language in the Old Testament, appropriately repented, which is, repent just means to think again. So when you're ready to have a new thought, right? When you stop punishing yourself for your old thoughts, right? Which is what exile is. They're in exile. So what is exile? Well, when I'm outside of my good and I'm, beating myself up for the thoughts that I'm having, and you're ready to have a new thought, to repent, to rethink again, then from that place, you want to build this. And in New Thought, what we know is that anything that we want to build in form in a world of our experience, we have to have what Ernest Holmes calls a mental equivalent. And what we teach in classes is that a mental equivalent is like a blueprint of the vision that you have. And what Ezekiel has is essentially a mental equivalent. It's an extremely detailed blueprint. I mean, it's like if you go to the scripture and read it, it will probably bore you to tears, because it's like the wall is this long, and then it turns, and then it does this, and it's like this old house, it's in biblical terms, right? But it is, and so what we take from that metaphysically is that here is the mental equivalent of what? The most sacred place that could be for that faith, which is the temple. And all of that means. And so what's significant about this idea is that within this vision, there is water. And water always represents the flow of spirit and the presence of spirit. And this water is flowing out of the inside and the sort of the inner sanctum, the inner holy of holies inside of the temple, and coming out of the eastern door. The eastern door, the east place of new beginnings, right? And so sun rises in the east, sets in the west, and so out of the place of new beginnings, and it's like a trickle and a stream when his guide is walking him around the temple, and he's seeing all of this. He first notices it, and it's coming out from underneath the door. Now, that would immediately get my attention. I don't know if you've had that happen, but last winter I had a pipe burst, during the winter storm, and like you see water flowing, like you do something about it. But he just notices it, and they go around, they're doing their thing, and they just kind of walk past the water. But he notices that it's coming out of the east door, and then they get some more descriptions, and it goes on again, and he comes by it again, and he says that the water is ankle deep. And then goes in this other description, and it's flowing out of the east and going into the desert, into Babylon, and all the place where it is flowing, it is creating new life. It's creating trees and birds and animals and sanctuary, and which would be a bold prediction, right? Ezekiel is a prophet. It would be a bold prediction to say that life is going to spring up in this hot, dry desert. It's going to include greenery and birds and all manner of life and fish, because each time he wades through the water is deeper. So the first time he says it passes through and it's ankle deep. The second time he says it comes up to his knees. He says the third time it comes up to his waist. And then the fourth time he comes around, he says it's water so deep that you would have to swim in it, and you can't touch the bottom. And it's this raging river coming out, going out. And so there's a number of ways we might interpret that. This spring coming from the altar of the temple, coming out of the east door, making new life. Each time he crosses it, every time he wades into it, right? There's a number of ways we would look at that. But what I invite you to look at it is like this. Out of that inner place of knowing, because the temple is always inner consciousness, and the sort of inner sanctum seat of the inner temple is our deepest inner knowing place. So out of that place begins the drip of a new consciousness, the drip of a new idea, the steady, and that drip slowly turns into a nice little trickle. And then a stronger trickle, then a little stream, and then it's flowing out. Significantly, that our expression of life and of spirit is not to be locked up or contained within our inner consciousness, but it is supposed to go out. It goes out into the desert, out into the community, out to where the people are. It goes far, far, far away, miles away from the temple, and creates all of this new life. In other words, they don't have to come to us. They don't have to come to church. It's coming to them. It's flowing to them. That's bold, right? And we see this sort of motif, if you will, in Scripture over and over and over again. Drink from this water and you'll never thirst again. Right? What is that? That is that inner conviction, that inner knowing. It had nothing to do with physical thirst and the well that was there, any of that. It was like, tap into this inner knowing. Go into that inner temple self. And when you begin to deepen your spiritual practice enough, then when you touch that, you'll never seek or desire to know who you are by external conditions ever again. You'll never thirst for, what am I? Who am I? Do I have permission? Do I have approval? Do they like me? Should I do? Right? None of that will come up again, because you will have tapped the inner source of all life and creativity and wisdom. It'll be coming from you and flowing out. Be still and know that I am. Tap into this divine power and then govern your life accordingly. So we're just getting started today with this series, but I want to leave you with this practice of this inner tapping into this inner knowing, this inner flowing. What would this look like? So beginning to act boldly. 3 steps for you today. Beginning with inner courage. It takes courage to even think about acting boldly in our life, let alone to do so. We must overcome any fears or inhibitions that would prevent us from acting boldly. Like, what will people think of me? Can I really do this? We need to examine our own judgments and our own thoughts that would hold us back. Do we think that something is so outrageous because others think that it's impossible? Or do we have a bubbling up assurance that there is something creative, bold, and genius inside of us that wants to come forward? We do that, again, cultivating that inner courage by sitting down, quieting the noise of the outside world, and just listening for that. If you listen deeply enough, you'll just hear it. It's just a little drip, 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 trickle of the divine that is within you. It'll come out of the eastern door, the place of new beginnings, and flow into your life experience, right? Tapping into our inner spiritual connection, right? That the audacity that allows you to do something that you think that you can't do. When we allow ourselves to tap into our inner spiritual connection, we know that what and how to do anything will come through us when we surrender and allow the spiritual connection to lead us and to guide us. And then to cultivate our imagination and vision. Once you kind of have this sense of there's this inner courage within me, there's this steady drip, I can go to that place, I can go there and I can sit and I can listen and I can hear, and I know that regardless of what's happening in my life, that steady drip, that consistent presence will be available to me. And that begins to cultivate that inner conviction. And then from that place, you, as Ezekiel did, let your imagination run wild. What would it look? I mean, you have to imagine, you have to consider his people are in exile. His vision of this temple that is massively bigger than the temple that they had and the temple that got destroyed, much more ornate, all of these different things. This is a wild imagination. It's like, what in the world are you thinking? Right? I mean, Ezekiel, seriously, you got into the herbs again, didn't you? Okay. Right? Because, I mean, it's just vivid and detailed. and completely just left field, like so far from what their current reality is. But he allows his imagination and this vision to articulate something that is so far. Can you do that for your own life? Can you imagine yourself so deeply entrenched in resource and love and abundance and creativity and having all the resources that you need and everything around? Can you see it? Let alone, don't worry about, do other people support it? Do they acknowledge it? Do they agree with you? Do they not agree with you? Do they like it or approve it? Or forget all that. Can you see it? Can you see for yourself that there's something within you that wants to express? And if you listen quietly and you cultivate the courage to allow that voice to come forward, it will begin to articulate itself with vivid imagination and great detail. Sit quietly in meditation and focus on your intentions. And then notice what comes up. Notice what stories of resistance, what stories of doubt, what things that are underneath it. And those are the things, as that stuff begins to bubble up and kind of get in the way. It's that stuff that pops up, and some spiritual coaches call it monkey mind, right? Or the chatter, right? That's the stuff that you take to your spiritual practitioner. That's the stuff that you take to your minister or to your counselor, your spiritual practitioner, and say, help me work on this. This thing keeps coming up and I'm trying to cultivate this space. They don't even need to know the vision. They don't need to know that all of that, right? Just know that every time I'm trying to focus, this doubt, this fear, this whatever comes up. And they will help you examine that, get underneath it, and release it. And then you can go back to the practice, sitting, contemplating, imagining. Sacred audacity requires us to tap into this space, to have that courage that the master teacher Jesus knew, that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, right? He had that inner conviction of that inner wisdom. Anything is possible now that I've tapped into this space. I never thirst again because I know this wisdom and this well is flowing through me. Once again, until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. And we'll invite the practitioners to come forward. So we're just beginning this month, this series, inviting ourselves to create space for sacred boldness to come forward, to articulate itself for what is new and next in our lives, in our relationships, in our health, in our finances, in our well-being, in our personal expressions. Prayer practitioners are always available to you after the service and also by appointment during the week to go even deeper in your spiritual practice and commitment to unfolding what's in your consciousness, removing any obstructions or blocks. They're trained in the articulation of affirmative prayer and support for you in that process. And so right now they join me in consciousness as we take a breath. And right here, right now, we know that there is one power, one presence, one life divine, one infinite source of good that is always flowing in through and as all life, all creation. It is that wellspring flowing through and under the eastern door of our imagination, out into the dry places, creating new life, creating beautiful landscapes of lush and vivid growth, prosperity, health, abundance. And it is there in that oasis of vision and imagination that all of our good is. It's right there for the taking. But we simply have to take courage, audacity, and bold steps to plant ourselves there and no longer think ourselves separate from it No longer think ourselves unworthy of it. No longer think ourselves incapable of reaching and attaining it. And it begins in this moment of contemplation that there is this divine power. It is within me. And because it is all that there is, I am one with it. It is one with me. And so I speak my word boldly and clearly, that my life is expressing, and you can fill in the blank in this moment, whatever it is that's on your heart's desire in this moment. My life is expressing as, and just allow yourself to feel. What is it? It's expressing as more joy, peace, prosperity, confidence. Speak whatever word it is that my life is expressing as. And know that the universe hears you boldly, clearly. And because it hears me, I am now filled with the divine courage, the sacred audacity to do what is necessary, to step a new step in the direction of that vision, a new step in the direction of that articulation of my life. I'm surrounded by all the things that I need, resource and inspiration, all manner of support, because the universe has my back. Boldness is my ally as I boldly claim and go forward into this dawn of this new day. For this and so much more, I'm truly grateful and thankful. I release this word. I know that it's already done. This is just the first step of many, but this step is already done, and all I need to do is accept it, say yes to it, and allow it to be the law unto my life. Thank you, God. And if you're in agreement with me, let us affirm together. And so it is. And so we are. Thank you. Peace and blessings. Once again, prayer practitioners available after the service. Just find them in the room and connect with them. And now we want to take a moment for our tithes and offerings. We're so grateful for all the ways in which support flows into this center week in and week out. We have containers by the doors that can have envelopes for checks and cash. We have for all of our online community and folks in the room on your smartphones. You can text any amount to 404-800-9467 or scan the QR code. Your phone will pop up with everything that you need to do. And you can even set it up to do it automatically so that in this moment all you need to do is relax and affirm and know that there's already good flowing from you into the life of this community, and it is doing good and great work. And for that we are truly grateful and thankful. So whatever form your gift takes today, know that we gratefully receive it joyfully, for it fuels the divine work that is happening here. So let us take these gifts and affirm now together with one voice. I live in a universe of abundance as I freely and joyfully give. I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is, and so we are. Thank you. Peace and blessings.